more Omaha World Herald. Just did you think you'd be back here after your 1 year and then time between then?
I mean, it's football. You never know. I mean, you got relationships here. Obviously, long ties with Coach Rule and a few other guys here on staff. Those opportunities are always going to be present and be available. But the way things worked out, it's a blessing. I'm excited to be back. So, but yeah.
What made this the right time and the right fit for you?
I mean, honestly, I had such a great time the first go around. You know, in this professor, you try to grow, you're trying to build things, you're trying to kind of enhance your career and develop. And Coach Rule came, had the opportunity presented. It was a no-brainer. Probably went home and talked to my son. That conversation lasted 10 minutes, and we was off to Nebraska the next day. So it was an easy decision to make. Super excited to be back.
You guys lose a lot of your sack production. I think the most coming back is one sack on one player. How big of a challenge is that now for you guys to find new production with your position, coaching the jacks and the edges?
I think it's a great time to be back. You got a good group, you got depth, you got young guys, but guys coming in who hungry need to prove themselves. You got coaches coming in who need to prove themselves. So it's a good opportunity for us to come in and grow together, develop in a room. And you got guys who have really good traits and really good football skills in terms of rushing the passer. So it's all just putting it together and just generating a room that's, just want to be the next up.
From the Athletic. Can you take us inside a little bit in the dynamic with the coaches and how you work between like Terry and Rob and you divide up responsibilities and positions? Like who exactly are you working with in that group, and how do you guys work together?
The Jacks it's a unique room, right? You spend a good portion with Coach Terry and we pass rushing, getting after the quarterback, but you also got to earn to rush the quarterback by stopping the run first, right? So we with Coach Terry a lot in terms of working on the run production and stopping the run and just getting fits. But we also work with the pass rush stuff with Coach Terry as well. But then we get with Coach Rob and kind of mutate into, getting into the scheme of things and how we kind of get into the cover. So it kind of goes back and forth. We put a system in place. We put a plan in place throughout the week to kind of just be able to make sure we get the work in for both sides of the ball.
So you've got like McGahee, Maverick Noonan. I mean, who else is in your room right now? Any of the transfers come in with you?
We got a few guys in there right now. In our room right now, we with Noonan and McGahee, they're doing a phenomenal job this offseason. They kind of getting after it pretty good, pushing those guys to take a step up. Got Deshaun working in the room right now, just moving around, so he's doing a pretty good job as well, just seeing what he can do. So, but overall, it's a good, healthy room. Guys are kind of getting after this offseason and just working pretty hard.
What could Deshaun McCullough give you as a true pass rusher, just with his intangibles and experience that he has coming to Nebraska?
He has game experience, but obviously he comes from a different system, a different style of play. So for him, it's all about reps and kind of just developing that and seeing what he can, what he can do and some things we got to work on moving forward. But he's a natural athlete. He's obviously he's an explosive player. He can move around in space and things of that nature. But as we continue to just develop that relationship and continue to see what, he's capable of doing naturally and things that we can work on, that's just kind of a development thing we continue to work through.
We haven't talked to Terry Braden yet, but what kind of sticks out about working with him so far? I know it's early on.
Terry's great. I think he's great for the university. I think he's great for the guys. He's great for the state of Nebraska. I mean, he's an awesome position coach. He's very detail-oriented. He kind of comes in there with, the mindset that, he encourages all the guys. Very positive, very professional, very prepared all the time. So I think he's great for the room. So I think it's a good fit for Coach Terry in Nebraska.
From the World Herald, what's it like working with Coach Snow? Obviously, he's been a coordinator for a long time. He's coached a bunch of different positions. What do you like about him?
I'm like the little parrot sitting on the guy's shoulder. I just sit there and try to feed off everything Coach Snow says. So he's a smart guy. He's obviously he knows the game is brand for a long time. Some of the things I might spend 10 minutes on, he could probably do it in 30 seconds. So Coach Snow's just a great human, and he's very open to teaching and just kind of working hand in hand. And so he's a guy that I definitely sit up under and feed off him as much as I can.
You come back after a year and see Ja'Cory and Willis and Vincent and those guys have had the freshman seasons that they did, knowing what your connection was with them in high school.
It's been good. Not surprising for me. I expected those guys to come in and be successful because I thought there was good players coming out of high school. watching them kind of grow, not only on the field but also academically. I mean, they're doing well off the field, kind of, stand out any bad news, anything of that nature. They're doing what they got to do, taking care of business and growing to be great, model citizens on this campus and just being great on the university across the board. So it's not just football, but overall they've just been really, really good student athletes.
You took the job in December. What do you think you got out of that early period of seeing the Pinstripe Bowl and that kind of early before you really were able to really dig in? What do you get out of that?
It was a lot at that moment, right? It's the transition, moving, and jumping right into it. And so, but what I did gain from was, we got the relationships going, getting to know guys. It's some guys are in different roles. Some guys took a step. You got some new faces in from when I was here a year and a half ago. So it was good to get here and start that relationship process and get that going, because at the end of the day, that's where it all starts at, right? It's just building that relationship, reaching out to the family members, introducing myself to the family members, letting them know that I'll be working with their son in the room and things of that nature. So definitely help expedite things in terms of the relationship process.
Masker 1620 The Zone. You recruit a lot in Florida. What would you say is what separates Florida high school football from other states in terms of just the production that guys come out and give in college pretty early?
Well, it's good football across the board. I've got on the road and been through North Carolina, been through New Orleans, been through a couple areas. They got some good football. Got some really good football. So I could be a little biased being a South Florida guy, but just overall, having spring football, a lot of places don't have spring ball, so kind of give you that edge a little bit. And then those guys just being able to tap into them, just knowing them, knowing their upbringers, coming from the same environment. It's an easier process to kind of dive into. And so, but that's about it. It's not like some magic dust or something that's kind of created from those guys. They're good players. They're hungry. They love football. Get them up here to fall in love with the staff, fall in love with the people, fall in love with the facility, and go from there.
Is it hard to convince them about the cold, or is that kind of natural for you?
No.
Okay.
No, that's not a problem. It's the weather's not an issue. It's part of the game. You want to play on the next level. You want to play in college football playoffs, so you're going to play in some cold weather. So it's part of the process. The guys embrace it. It's good.
What does this defense look like to you, and what John and Phil and Matt and everybody wants to get done on third down, as far as making some adjustments to the system that we saw last year?
As of right now, we're still in the early phases of it. We're still going through the process, still kind of weaving in our do's and don'ts and what we can and cannot, things of that nature. So kind of premature to answer that in this moment. But overall, at the end of the day, our DNA is to get after the quarterback. So.
Hey, Coach Steve Mark with Inside Nebraska, with Hassan McCullough specifically, when he came here, did the staff, the program, want to change his body at all to help make him fit at the specific positions that he'll be playing this year?
Well, you got Miss Kristen. The nutrition, she does a phenomenal job, and Coach Corey, in terms of how they get together with staff and talk about what's best for the student athlete and their process and how they develop. And so with him, it's obviously if he's going to be more in the box or if he's not going to be in the box, that's part of conversations that continue to have and continue to make sure he has a right body fit for it. So to be able to endure a long season.
Anything else for Coach?
Coach, Ben Beach from Daily Nebraska. You talked about making relationships with these players' parents. How important are those relationships to you as a coach?
I played for Coach Rule in 2005, 2006, 2007. He know my kids. He knows my mother. He knew my father. Relationships is everything, right? And so at the end of the day, I was just having this conversation this morning. When I have a 4-month, and he just started daycare 2 days ago. And so when we take him, the daycare sends us pictures of him and how's he doing, and he just fed. Those are exciting. You're nervous. You send your kid to daycare. So it's the same thing. These kids go to college. These parents want to know what's going on. They're young men. We're trying to develop them to be, future fathers and future husbands. But at the same time, they also have parents. They have family members that are, concerned or curious about how their son is doing, and having those relationships and communicating and make sure we're in one accord. And it's family for life. These guys, some of them come back and be working for Coach 10 years from now. So, it's part of the process, and it's the right way to do things.
How did that time at Temple, when you first connected with Coach Rule, 05, 06, with Al Golden as the coach, how did that, I know Temple was pretty bad before that, when you got there. How did that time and going through that with him and those guys shape who you are still today?
Well, as a player, it was tough, right? I was at the beginning phase of that process and that transition. So 18, 19-year-old kid, you kind of don't see it right now at that moment. So to go through it and then now be in a position where you're coaching it, is just give you a different level and a different feel to help the kids relate to what's going on, because you're not just here working. You actually went through it as a player, and you went through the transition. You saw the outcome of it. So, it's big to be able to experience that and go through that with those guys and how it translates to what we got in the room now.
All good? All right, thank you.